So on today's show, we're excited, and I know I feel like I say this every week, but I'm really excited, yay! Okay, so on today's show, we have TV host and analyst for Fox News as well as Fox Business, Jedediah Bila. In addition to her super impressive gig on Fox, Jedediah has published a book called Outnumbered, and her columns have been published at PolicyMic, Human Events, Verily, The Daily Caller, Newsmax, FoxNews.com, Breitbart News, The Blaze, Townhall, and in AMAC's newsletter and print magazines. Her expertise lies in the areas of culture, education, politics, relationship, media, fitness, and a whole lot more. She's also a featured speaker for the Clare Boothe Luce Policy Institute and Young America's Foundation. On Fox News and Fox Business, Jedediah regularly hosts Outnumbered and guest hosts The Five, Red Eye, and Kennedy. She's also a regular contributor to FNC and FBN on a wide range of political, cultural, and lifestyle topics. And if that isn't an already amazing resume, I feel like I just spewed out all this information. Jedediah has she was recently named one of Mediaite's it's Mediaite.com's sexiest people in the news. So let's welcome Jedediah. Hi, Jedediah.
Thanks for being here. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Exciting to be here. I walked in here. The space, if people can't see this whole space, it's gorgeous.
Oh.
I basically invited myself to move in minute one. I was like, I'm going to bring my pull-out couch later on tonight. You guys you'll have to just work with me in the background watching TV or something. I don't know. But it's gorgeous here. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, you're welcome, and you're totally invited to come in anytime you'd like. Okay, so we don't yet have a TV. We should maybe consider.
I'll bring the TV. I can handle that part. That's my contribution to television.
Oh my gosh. Well, we're excited. We're really glad that you're here today with us.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
Yeah. So let's start with a little bit about who you are, what you like to do, like a fun fact about Jedediah.
Well, fun fact would be that I eat like a 350-pound
Shut
man.
up.
No, food is my passion. It's funny because I'm dating a guy right now who doesn't get why food is my passion. He actually eats to survive. Like he just eats because it's breakfast time and that's what you do. And then lunchtime, that's what you do. And he doesn't understand. I'm Italian, Sicily, Naples. We eat because it's like our love. I fall in love with food. So that's what people should know about me. I would rather have chocolate than diamonds. That is an honest truth. I swear by it. So that's a fun fact, I guess, that I eat like I'm, much bigger than I am.
That's hard to believe, but we'll go with it.
Have to trust me.
Chocolate over diamonds any day.
Any day.
That's I struggle with that one.
Well, you're a jewelry person. Yeah. And so, when people see you on TV, they see like this accomplished, put together, girl, of course, but you are a real person. And we heard some of your...
Yeah, she's real.
She's real. You have all these different interests. You love Dance Moms, Bear, Harley Davidson, just a few things we've held a value, and we thought it's so interesting because, you do have these interests, and sometimes in politics and news, people think you're a little conservative, like anyone is kind of conservative, but kind of how did you get into these things and kind of grow to love these different kind of funny things?
I'm not always political. People expect me to be glued to news 24 hours a day. I watch Dance Moms, one of my favorite shows. Younger is one of my favorite. I don't know if you've seen this show. It's amazing. If you haven't seen it, check it out. I like all of the competitive shows. If there's like a physical challenge involved where you might die, I'm probably watching that. Naked and Afraid. Oh, it's one of my favorites. I've never watched
that. I've heard good things about it.
I would survive maybe a minute because I have like a mosquito in my apartment and I'm like, oh my god, this is the end as we know it. So I would never survive. But I'm really into culture and pop culture and music and politics is actually a small part of who I am. It's an important part because during the day I'm following elections and all things like that. But I feel like you need to be a whole person. So all this stuff, I watch, the music awards. If there's an award show on, I check it out and see what's going on. And we do a show called Red Eye at Fox News at 3 in the morning where we're always weighing in on pop culture stuff, which I love because it keeps me immersed in that world, so I can sort of fuse the politics and the culture.
Juggle,
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
Quite the juggler.
Yeah, no, well, it sounds like fun. I'm sure it's hard work, but it sounds like a lot of fun.
It is a lot of fun. It's a lot. I mean, my job, I really can't complain.
Yeah.
I did The View last week on Friday. And I came home, and my parents said, how was it? And I said, sometimes I forget that this is a job. I'm laughing. I'm talking. Yes, I'm following news, but I'm having a blast. I mean, I'm getting to interact with a bunch of really different people with different opinions, and it's really exciting. Yeah. So I feel really lucky.
So let's kind of like move into let me ask this question before I even go there, because my mind is I'm listening to you and so many things I'm kind of going off script a little bit.
No, that's good.
Okay, good. All right. So I just lost my train of thought. It's so crazy. Like I was just going and all this
stuff. You had too many questions.
Yeah, because you know what, you were naming all these things. And I'm just like, wait. And then my brain starts to go, and then of course I lost it all at once. Okay, but it'll come back to me because it usually does. So I'll just go into the next question and we'll come back to it.
Sure.
Okay, so I was told that there's a great story behind you getting into politics and doing political news. And that wasn't initially the thing that you were thinking of doing.
It's true. I mean, the time that I started in this, I was teacher and dean at a private school in Manhattan. I was not doing anything political at all. I had written a column. One day I woke up, I had a conversation with a friend of mine. It happened to be about voter fraud. I wrote a column about that on a blog, submitted it. I told my parents I could have written about cats that day. Maybe I'd be on Animal Planet right now. You never know. But I wrote about politics, and it ballooned, and I wound up getting asked to write columns, Daily Caller, Human Events, and I wrote a review of Mark Levin's book. He's a very well-known radio host. He read a segment of it on air, and before I knew it, Sean Hannity had called me and said, hey, can we stick you on TV and you'll just talk about whatever I want to talk about that day? And I said, okay. Wow. So that was about, I'd say 3 years ago, maybe a little long, probably like 4 years ago now. And they stuck me on TV and it kind of just blew up, and here I am. But what people don't know is I came from a performing arts house. My mom was a theater director for years. She taught improv classes in my home. So being in front of cameras and the whole acting and performing arts experience was something that was extremely comfortable. For a while I thought I might want to be an actress. To this day I get calls to do some, acting related stuff, and I'm sort of toying with that right now, but the industry just felt right from minute one. So on camera, the first day, I think my first show on television in politics, I was talking to over 2 million people, and I said, okay, this is fine, so I just kind of dove in, but it's a good story. It's a fun way to start for sure.
So I do remember what I was going to say, because you were talking about you just all the fun things that you like to do, and I was just going to kind of just speak on that, because when you walked into the space, you had this huge personality, and a girl's girl, that's the kind of vibe that I get from you. And so anyway, that was what I was going to say, and I'll just let you go ahead and take it from there.
That was more of a comment.
It was more of a comment than a question. I know.
But like you were saying, so you didn't have this initial want to work in politics, and kind of how did you begin to get prepared to be able to talk about politics on TV and kind of own it and master all the topics that you would need to talk about?
I mean, I read a lot of news. I would get up in the morning and just follow what was happening throughout the day. The good thing was I always had an opinion about everything. So from a child, if you asked me what I thought about something, I was going to tell you. So really all I was doing was taking that and putting it in the political sphere. So I would get up and I would read a whole bunch of stuff, and I would say, oh, this makes no sense. And, I would just form an opinion, and I wanted to be a reflection of the average person out there and what they were thinking. I've never worked for a politician. I'm not a policy wonk. I don't want to be. I really wanted to be that person who's on TV saying what she actually believes, throwing some common sense out there, that the person sitting at home on their couch would look at and say, oh, I get what she's saying. It would be relatable and fun and friendly, and that's really who I am in television, so it worked out nicely. And in life. That's who I am in life, truly. I'm not an expert on much.
No, I can feel the authenticity in it, so
Thank you.
It comes through, so it's believable, basically.
Thank you.
So, so, you were named Mediaite.com's one of the sexiest people in news. Okay, before we, what you hear that, what came to mind when you were like, I guess, nominated as the sexiest, one of the sexiest persons?
Flattered. I mean, I'm flattered. I think a lot of it is attributed to that show Red Eye that I do. There is a leg chair. It's the end chair. You're in sexy dresses. I'm flattered. I'm not afraid of that word.
Yeah.
It's not something that I consider bad. It's not, people say, well, if you're sexy, can they take you seriously? And I say, well, yeah, they'll give it a minute and I'm going to speak.
Yeah.
Something's going to come out of my mouth and they're going to realize that there's a brain attached to my body.
Right.
So I'm really comfortable juggling those two things. I don't think you have to compromise one in order to succeed in the other. So when people say that, I do consider myself kind of quirky and an oddball. I'm usually in jeans and a t-shirt. I'm dressed kind of odd today with polka dots. And so when people say sexy, it's not the first thing I think of because I'm kind of a weirdo, but I will take the compliment with a smile. So thank you, Mediaite. And they've done that a couple of times. They've said some nice things about me in the past in terms of my career, and so it's a site that I happen to go to a lot every day. I personally like it and check it. So when I see my own name there, it's like, oh, thanks, guys.
Yeah. Just for women that are entrepreneurs and or within business or a professional element, right? When I saw that, I was like, well, wow, it could actually be taken two ways.
Right.
It can diminish your I guess your stature maybe.
Yeah.
Or it can do like what I feel it's doing for you, where you've just sort of taken it and just made it your own. You just kind of like you don't allow that sort of title to kind of disdain who you are, what you're doing. How would you advise, if that's possible, other women to sort of own that, like own their feminism or their sexy, and not have it exude sexual?
I would say be real and be yourself, and don't forget who you are. I think sometimes, if you're trying to be sexy, I think you're going to compromise all the other stuff because you're going to put that out there front and center. I think there's a way to be sexy just by being yourself. Being confident is sexy. If I walk into a room and I see a really confident guy, that is sexy to me. I really don't even look at what he's wearing or what he looks like. I look at how he walks across a room. I always go for the guy that's not afraid to come over and make a move, or not afraid to be like, oh, hey, you want to grab a drink. So I would say confidence for women is important, and it's important to be real. We're in an election season right now, and people are always asking me in terms of the presidential candidates, what should they do? And it's the same advice that I would give to women or entrepreneurs is be yourself. There's only one of you out there.
Right.
So if you're trying to be like somebody else, you're losing. And I think the way that you can use your sex appeal to your advantage and to the advantage of your career is to just have it be real. And it doesn't have to be about wardrobe or your legs, or it can just be about your energy that you bring to the table. So that's what I try to do. And sometimes, I put on a short dress because that's what I feel like wearing that day. And the world can either love it or hate it. But that's how I operate. I don't aim to please anyone but myself. And I think when you're happy with you, and you go out there into the world, then you don't really care if the rest of the world is happy with you, and you hope they do, but you exude that energy. Yeah. And then they're like, oh, wow, she's really comfortable in her own skin, and I am, so.
Yeah, and it's exactly,
And I love that you brought up confidence, too, because we broadcast, and a lot of, entrepreneurs, business people listen, and confidence is super important when starting your own business. But a lot of people, if you're super confident, they kind of think you're conceited. Right. So is there a way to combat that, or like?
I think you have to have a really down-to-earth approach to things, and that's always how I've been. I feel really lucky to have. I started this whole business myself. I really woke up one day and said, I want to be a political commentator, and I want to analyze culture, and I want to get on TV and host television shows, and then that's what I made happen. I did it all on my own. I worked really hard, but I think I did that by not losing the relatability and not losing. I've been successful. I appreciate that, but I don't stop being grateful every minute for the fans that listen to me. I don't have a job unless they're tuning into this or whatever show I'm doing. So I think you have to remember where you came from, remember the struggle, and always remember who you are at your core, no matter how successful you get, or no matter how, it's not about money. We're all people. And I think the humanity of it, if you can hold on to that and really talk to people and remember how you got there and how hard it was and never lose sight of that, I think people will love you for who you are.
For aspiring journalists, or I mean, maybe it's not necessarily geared to journalists, but even I guess anyone that's in business or just doing something for themselves or trying to, what piece of advice or information you can give to sort of help them fulfill that dream? For instance, for New Year's, everyone has all kinds of New Year resolutions, and they're gonna this and they're gonna that, and start a business, and they're gonna, and then 1 month in, 2 months in, it's like, you kind of drop the ball.
Yeah.
What would you say to someone like that, or someone who may be driven at first and kind of loses that spark, or like how can they aspire to continue whatever it is that they're trying to do?
I think you have to figure out what you love first, because if you really love something, you're driven to make it happen. And if you do, you have to come up with some kind of plan of what you want to see. Set some goals. Sit down and take some time to write stuff down and really map it out. There was a stage of my career where I really was trying to figure out what I wanted to do next, and I had to sit with a journal. I sat and I wrote it out, and I envisioned the way my life would look if I had made certain decisions and laid out those paths and temporarily walked down them to see what they were like. So you have to be willing to lay it out, set some goals, and do stuff in small steps, because if you think huge, in 5 years I want this to be my goal, it can be a little overwhelming.
Right.
So I think if you take it in small steps and sort of congratulate yourself when you accomplish them, don't be afraid to say, wow, I just did that. That feels good, and feel good about your accomplishments, because you can't always wait for someone else to say good job. In my business, that doesn't happen oftentimes. I go and I do an audition for something, and I tell my agent all the time, they never say, did I do well? I never get like a pat on the back. And she says, well, pat yourself on the back. So now I do. I leave and I'm like, oh, Bila, excellent job.
I like that.
But don't be afraid. If you accomplish something to reward yourself, buy yourself something good to eat. Oh, yeah, of course I do.
Walking down the street.
Listen, I'm not wrapped too tight some days. It's just the way I am. I'm just like, nice job. I let it all hang out. No, but I think you have to be able to reward yourself and honest with yourself too about what you're good at and what maybe you might need some help with. Seek advice. I often my parents are a huge source of advice for me. People say, do you have a stylist? I say, no, I have my mother. I call her and I'll say, what does this look like? And sometimes she cries on the other end of the line, like, what are you wearing? I often will change. Sometimes I won't, though. Sorry, Mom, she's listening, but we have a slight difference of taste. And my dad, when I have an important financial decision to make. So I feel like, surround yourself with people who love you and that you trust also, and don't be afraid to say, help me, what do you think? And gather that input as well.
Okay, awesome. And this show is not super about politics, but we did want to throw in something you have written from Things to Remember When Approaching Politics in 2016.
Oh, yes.
Because it's great.
That.
It applies to life generally, not necessarily politics. But it's your second point, and I'll just read it quick. It says, spend some time talking to someone with a completely different view of the world, politically, economically, socially, you name it. Let it make you think and listen to what they have to say without focusing on your response. Hear, don't react. Let it challenge your views and help you to discover a little bit more about who you are. Which we love this. Can you explain kind of what inspired you to write this? Kind of your whole thinking behind it.
Right. Well, I did a little bit of that in my book that I wrote called Outnumbered. And then I kind of carry this theme through because I noticed that on the right and left, there's this resistance to opposing viewpoints. No one really listens to each other. They hear and they react. But while you're talking, they're not thinking about what you're saying. They're not actually putting themselves in your shoes. They're just thinking about how they're going to rebut what you're saying and say, oh, you're wrong. So, and that's my industry often. I'm in cable news. That's what a lot of people do. But you're not learning anything. And oftentimes, I've had conversations with people where if I'm open, I walk away from them and I think either a little differently about what I thought originally because I've learned something new, or I feel more strongly about my perspective because I'll say, oh, you know what, I heard that and I still disagree and here's why I stand for what I stand for.
As Casey mentioned in the beginning, your huge resume, you have a lot of great accomplishments. Is there something that you pinpointed as kind of your biggest accomplishment or something you're particularly proud of in your career so far?
I think my biggest career-wise, I think, has been to stick to who I am in an industry that really likes to try to transform you. I remember being really young, going to LA, and having a lot of casting directors say, well, you need bigger boobs, or you need less of a butt,
Wait,
or you need, oh yes, outright. You know, I did modeling when I was younger, and I always had too much of a behind. Like, you know, it wasn't the Kardashian days, so this was not a cool thing. And they would be like, your butt's too big, you know, you need, and I learned very early on to sort of love myself and not change it.
Right.
And then, so in this industry, I think it's been a challenge to remember that I need to be comfortable with myself first, and that's the foot that I put forward. You know, I've even when it comes to a lot of like plastic surgery pressures in the industry, like, no, I haven't done Botox, I haven't touched my face. Why? Because I want to be a real person on your television screen, and if real people have flaws, and real people have smile lines, and real people look like real people.
Yeah.
So I'm trying really hard to be that person, and I don't always succeed. Sometimes I look at myself on TV and say, oh, bye, I look really tired today, but I'm like, people get tired, so it's okay.
Yeah.
So that's what I've done so far successfully, and I do publicly pat myself on the back. Here we go again, but I think it's a good message for especially young women out there who, you know, strive for this perfection that doesn't exist, and
core values.
Stick
with them. I like that.
And be real. Just be a real person.
Yeah.
You know. So
that's great. Okay, so we broadcast, as you know, on business news, event news, you know, everything that's related to sort of like fashion and lifestyle kind of thing, but business aspect of it. And so there are a few questions that we'd love to ask all of our guests that come on. And the first one is, what's the most memorable event that you've ever attended and why?
Got to meet so many men and women in uniform, and for me that is so amazing because I can't imagine putting myself in harm's way at that level. It's stunning to me that someone would have the courage to do that. So when I get to meet people like that and say thank you and get to meet them and see who they are, what kind of character enables you to do that I don't feel like I would necessarily be able to put myself in that situation. So that was a great event because it got to honor them and who they are and what they do, and I don't feel like they're appreciated enough. They don't make a lot of money and they're not considered celebrities, but you know, those are the real heroes that when we're all home at night and able to enjoy our holidays and whatnot, those are the men and women that are out there making sure that we're safe. So that was probably my favorite event. That was this year. It was at the Hard Rock. It was fun. We had a blast. We had drinks, photo. I'm not one for red carpets typically. Yeah. In fact, my friend Matt is a PR guy, and he's always begging me to go to stuff, and I only go if there's a good cause because I don't like to get dressed up. It's terrible. I don't have television. I'm like, can I go in my ripped jeans without my mother seeing the photos? But
maybe because you're dressed up, you know.
I am.
I want to be.
I'm casual and comfortable. But for the troops, I will do anything.
Yeah.
So that would probably be it.
Cool. Awesome. It's because not a lot of people get to meet people who actually do serve too.
Yeah.
So
much
it's a great
fun.
opportunity.
They're such fascinating people and so gutsy. You think you're gutsy until you meet them, and then you're like, forget it. I'm a big wimp.
Yeah.
And since Y-CLAD also is jewelry boutique, we always ask this as well. Do you have any jewelry or accessory essentials that you can't leave your house without, or that you think every woman should own?
Well, I don't. I have some items I don't take off, but they have sentimental value to me. So my best friend got me a gold bracelet. I have an ankle bracelet. I think an ankle bracelet is very sexy for women to have. Honestly, I cannot tell you how many comments I get, even when I'm on television and they see my ankle bracelet, the world flips out. So women, if you don't have an ankle bracelet, I would strongly recommend that you get one, because I think it's a very sexy item, especially if you have a summer shoe on, and you can, I really like the way an ankle bracelet
No, I agree. I was just going to say that, you know, I think it's just so 80s though. Wasn't that when we were wearing?
Yeah, well, you know, let's not age us on the Blog Talk Radio. I mean, this is what I come here for, man. No, it's true, but you know, I also sometimes dress like Madonna in the Material Girl videos. So what can I say? But
trends always come back.
It's true. No, it's totally true.
No, I love them, and I always have it on. I love it, love it, love it. In terms of other accessories, I love shoes, and I do love accessories. I like sunglasses. I feel like you can look like a bum, and I do most days. And you put a nice pair of sunglasses on. My favorite brand is Oliver Peoples. They are amazing. I put those on, and I feel dressed. I feel dressed, and slick my hair back. So my few items, I have one expensive item that I own. These aren't real. They're cute little heart earrings that I got from on Bleecker Street, there's a market that you go in, and there's all the different designers. They have great stuff. Bleecker Street, downtown Manhattan. I have one expensive item, and it's my Cartier bracelet. I did not buy this because I don't have that kind of cash, but my mother got it for me as a gift. She's probably listening. It's my only expensive item that I never take off my arm. Other than that, I usually buy more inexpensive stuff that's really artsy or unique. I like unique pieces that look like someone put effort in that you're not going to be able to go out and see on everyone else's hand or everyone else's arm. So I have a few of those at home as well.
Yay. Okay, so are you a lipstick or a lip gloss girl?
Lip gloss. I saw that question. I saw that when I'm sitting here with my eyes are looking down like what's coming my way. So I can't do anything matted. So I like first of all, I like shiny, I like sparkle. I'm not terribly girly, but with my makeup, I do like a little shimmer and a little sparkle.
Okay, so we're coming to the end, and I guess so. Tell our listeners where they can find you, your social media handles.
So I'm at Jedediah Bila on Twitter. I have a Facebook also, Jedediah Bila. It's a like page. I'm on Instagram at Jedediah Bila. It's really simple. I keep it consistent. It's just my name is hard enough, but. And yeah, I post a lot of fun stuff. I'm going to be posting some behind the scenes stuff from television on Instagram.
Oh, cool.
My Twitter is very politics heavy because it's election season, so I tweet through the debates and stuff like that. But there will be some fun TV surprises coming up and lots of good stuff in the works. So be patient, but it's coming. It's on its way, and that's it.
Yay!
Awesome. Well, look out for all that
stuff.
Yeah,
you gotta look out, and maybe I'll be wearing some interesting jewelry. I can call you and I
can
say, what do I do? Because it's funny, I did The View on Friday, and I brought in these two dresses, and Fox likes us to wear really simple wardrobes. Okay. That's what I have. And I brought it, and she said, do you have any jewelry for this? And I said, what would I do with that? Like, what do I even, and my mother was on the phone saying, I told you to bring a necklace. Why didn't you bring, I should have had you. I could have called you and said, what goes with this? And then I could have had
shoot me a picture, and then
that's what I'll do. A jewelry expert,
blah, 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 blah. Do this.
You'll be my contact. You'll be my jewelry advisor from now on.
You guys heard it here first.
You heard it here first. Now I'm committed. I've said it here. It's out there. The world knows.
Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It was a blast.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, thank you. This was a lot of fun. A lot of great information too.
Well, I'm glad you guys had fun. I had a blast.
Yay.
And hopefully you'll have me back.
Yes, I was going to say, hopefully you'll come back and you'll do it with us again, and we'll do something creative, like something fun, and just make it really cool.
Let's do it.
Yeah,
Let's do it. I'm game.
Okay, guys, we're going to take a quick break, and then when we return, we'll have the news, events, and the designer feature of the day.
Guys, so we're back with today's designer feature of the day, which is the Celine Mooncut necklace by Officina Bernardi. And Casey and I are both wearing it today. Yeah, so I have it in black, and Casey has it in silver. And it is a platinum over sterling silver beaded mooncut necklace. It's really sparkly. If you're far away, you can see it sparkling, which is great. And it's definitely we call it an affordable alternative to diamonds, since it's got that bling but doesn't have the huge cost, which is awesome. And so it is handcrafted in Italy. It's 8 millimeters thick, and so it's super noticeable, but not too loud. And we have a lot of different pieces like this, the mooncut style jewelry. So you can see it all on Y-CLAD.com. The Celine mooncut necklace and all the other mooncut jewelry are on there as well.
Yes, guys, and so as I always say after Kaylin, announces all of our jewelry, make sure you go on Y-CLAD.com and you pick one up.
Exactly.
Okay, so we're going to talk news, and so in event news, nominees were announced on Monday, February 1st for the 51st Academy of Country Music Awards, slated for April 3rd at MGM Grand Garden Arena and airing on CBS. In retail news, Yahoo announces yesterday, February 2nd, that it plans to lay off 14% of its workforce, and it says it will consider strategic alternatives.
Another
I know. It's just, I feel like every week we just have doom news. We should just call it doomsday or doom something.
This one too, because everyone heard about what happened with Chipotle. Their profits have really tanked after the E. coli scare. I haven't gone since, and it hospitalized 22 people, which kind of ruined its healthy food image. So that's scared a lot of people across the country, since people do go there specifically because they think it's healthy and safe. I mean, no one wants to eat food that's not safe. So the Chipotle executive said in January that earnings would be messy, quote messy, and they were right. And Chipotle only pulled in a $68 million profit in the last 3 months of 2015. which plunged 44% compared to the same time a year ago. So it was the worst profit for them since 2012, which...
That's sad.
Yeah, it's upsetting. So their sales totaled $997 million between October and December, down about 7% from the same period a year ago, even though it sounds like a lot. It's still down from normal for them. So not even analysts thought the damage would be that bad. They thought that they would get $1 billion in sales.
Yeah.
But people are saying that the worst may be over. The Centers for Disease Control announced on Monday that the E. coli outbreak appears to be over. I don't know how I think about that, but they don't know the cause of the outbreak, so
yeah, for me that's still kind of scary, because then if they don't know how they prevent it, so
exactly.
I mean, I don't know, I'm not an expert in this, but it just still
proceed with caution.
Yeah, absolutely. I like that, proceed with caution. So in this week's events that we think that you guys should be either attending or thinking about attending, the 25th annual Pan-African Film and Arts Festival, slated for February. Well, no, you cannot attend that. Well, actually, yes, you can. It started yesterday and it's going through the 15th. It's not happening in New York, but it is in Los Angeles. It showcases over 150 quality new films and over 100 fine artists and unique craft persons from all over the world. For tickets, just head on over to www.paff, and that's Peep as in Paul, A as in Apple, F as in Frank.org.
And also for California, it's the 31st annual Santa Barbara International Film Festival, and it's dedicated to discovering and showcasing the best in independent and international cinema. So a really cool event. It offers 11 whole days of more than 200 films, and there are different tributes, symposiums that kind of transform downtown Santa Barbara into a huge destination for film lovers, which is great, and it has over 90,000 attendees each year, which is awesome. So for more information on that and to purchase your tickets, you can go to sviff.org.
Yeah. And so there's Cookies for Kids Cancer will have its 3rd annual Chefs for Kids Cancer benefit. I think that's so cool. This benefit raises funds for children with cancer. And the event will be held February 23rd at the Metropolitan West here in New York City. The event will be hosted by Chef Mara Batley and featured foods from New York area chefs including Bobby Flay and Dominique Ansel. Chefs will prepare 4-course custom meals for individual tables, and pastry chefs create 14 different cookies. Guests can participate in the live auction with a once in a lifetime experience and a private concert from singer-songwriter and actress Jill Hennessy. For more information on this event and possibly attending, purchasing tickets if you will, head over to www.cookiesforkidscancer.org.
And then another one for California, for those of you in the Bay Area, since it is Super Bowl weekend and everyone's getting excited there. Yes. If you can't make it to the game or couldn't get tickets, you can make it to Super Bowl City, which is awesome. It came here 2 years ago. I really regret not going because it's completely free to attend. A lot of former players will come, and you can meet and greet them, which is cool. There's a lot of performances, local food, NFL-themed activities. This one thing that they started this year, the Fan Energy Zone, sounds really fun. It's an interactive video game kind of thing where you go in, you get an avatar, and it's motion censored. So you can play football, and it detects your activities, which is great.
Oh, that's cool.
And there's also 35 free performances, some Grammy winners, and then also community performers and favorites from the Bay Area. And some of the huge names are Alicia Keys, Matt Nathanson.
We should fly out.
One Republic, Van Perry, Chris Isaac. So huge names, and it's all for free.
Oh, nice. Wow, that sucks. It should have been here in New York.
I know.
Darn it. Okay. Well, that concludes our show. Oh my gosh, it went so quickly. You guys are probably like, no, it didn't. You guys are just talking so much. But no, we hope that you enjoyed our show. We really enjoyed keeping you company, and we hope that you will listen again next week. And I'll let you know what's on next week. It's actually Shatanya Ami, our celebrity stylist, who comes in every second Wednesday of the month. And she comes in to basically talk everything fashion, style, and even the business aspect to fashion and, the whole fashion industry. So it's a great opportunity for you guys to be listening in, getting information. Pick her brain for whatever you want to know within the fashion industry. She's been in the industry for over 10 plus years, I believe she says. And so that is our next week's show. And what are we going to be doing next week, Kaylin?
I think we have to hit the con
We're going to be hitting the con.
So Shatanya, we have our little challenge. So we will be hitting the con, and we want you guys to send your videos as well for a chance to enjoy from Y-CLAD.
Yeah. So tag us in your Hit the Quan videos, and then we'll take a look and we'll, make sure somebody gets something really, really nice. So until next week, make sure you're listening and tuning into all of our shows, and you can also catch them on YouTube. And until then, love life and wear it well. Have a great night, everybody.